The just cried, and the Lord heard them and delivered them out of all their troubles.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Analog Catholic. I'm your host, Rob. Joined as always by my other host.
Benjamin.
Why'd you say your full name?
I don't know. We've had this banter before that we can't do too much of it because they'll be
Can't do
like
it every single
they're
time.
reusing content.
The banter is actually part of the opening. That's the joke.
Yeah.
Uh,
We
Rob
just
and Ben here. Today we're talking about Catholicism and conspiracy theories. Um, there's so much we can do with this topic. But we can't do it all, unfortunately, as much as I would love to. Maybe one day, Ben, we should just become those sort of like podcasters that do live podcast shows on YouTube and we just like banter for 3 hours straight. Just see how that goes.
I think we
Rather,
should.
rather than doing like 40-minute long episodes we release every 2 weeks, we just become
Yeah.
like
We could do both.
we could do both. Yeah, we could do
Good
both.
supplement for the
Yeah.
paid subscribers.
All the 5,000 paid subscribers we have that
Yeah.
give us $100 individually each a month. We make a lot of money doing
Yeah.
this.
We actually don't need any more paid subscribers.
Yeah,
So
actually,
don't.
stop.
Don't.
We're gonna have to give it back to you guys. We have too
Yeah.
much. We don't have to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
So we're actually not encouraging you to join the
no,
paid subscription.
no, no,
Um,
no. But actually,
but
you should though. You should join that page. You should
I
join
would really love this is content. I would really love to be like a cryptozoology guy, like and just
Oh,
you ever
dude,
watch like
no
just like the
idea.
people that just spend their entire lives talking about Bigfoot, like
Make money off that, dude.
uh the dream. That's not what we're talking about.
International Museum of Cryptozoology, Bangor, Maine. Check it out.
It's a good time.
It's a good
A
time.
lot of Bigfoot
We are
poop.
not sponsored, but if they hear this and want to give us a little something, I won't say no.
Yeah.
Uh, I Yeah, conspiracy theories. I don't know, man. Let's just jump in. Screw it. Let's just go wherever we go. I love conspiracy theories. I love cryptozoology, which isn't necessarily a conspiracy theory, though I guess it could kind of fall under that umbrella. But they're all sort of like lumped in together, you know. It's like the same people believe all that stuff. Um, I eat that stuff up. I love it so much. It's so enjoyable. I don't know why. Maybe it's just because I have like I'm just curious, you know, or it's just like interesting or it's fascinating. Or it feels like you're in on a secret, you know, like, ooh, like people don't really believe this or people don't know about this enough, but I do. I know about Bigfoot. I know about the Chupacabra. I know about Skinwalker Ranch, you know, I know about MK Ultra, which turned out to be real. Um, like all this stuff. Um, and it's just so fun. But yeah, related to Catholicism, I have an observation to make. So for fun, like to listen to um old episodes of Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. I think I mentioned it before in a previous podcast. And he was popular in like the 80s to early 2000s. And he had an overnight talk show. He did it out of Nevada, so I think for him it was like local time, like 11 to 3 or something like that. And so, Eastern, it was wherever later, 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. And his subjects were always that. It was like UFOs, it was conspiracy theories, it was aliens, it was chupacabras. It was spiritual stuff like demons and angels and prophecy and Hollow Earth and so much stuff. And I love listening to it, not because I just eat it all up and believe everything that's being talked about or believe all the conspiracies, but it's just so entertaining. He's a great host. Honestly, a model of how to be a really good, I think, radio host. A little bit of a side tangent there, but it's just so fun. Like the last episode I listened to, it was open lines and which means it's just like there's no dedicated speaker for that night. He's just people just call in and say whatever. And it was like open lines on like prophecies. He was literally like if you prophesy something for the future, call in and tell me what you're prophesying. And someone called in and I can't remember what they said. Also, none of the things they said came true because the episode was in 2004. It's been 21 years, and all the predictions were as like by 2008 we'll have a nuclear war, or like by 2006 like there'll be a new ice age. It's just like totally banana stuff that never came true. Um, but one of the guys like said something really specific. He said there's going to be an earthquake at this date at this time, and Art Bell goes, "How do you know this?" And without skipping a beat, the guy goes, "Oh, I'm an angel." just without like there was no like he didn't think about it, no hesitancy. He just said it so plainly, matter of fact, and I just started laughing my butt. Sorry, I just started laughing my butt off. I thought it was the funniest thing ever because that's just so kooky, you know. And then there was another one where it was like the same episode, and he said the same thing to the person, like, "How do you know this?" And the guy goes, "I'm schizophrenic." And I was like, he just lays it out there, like, "Yeah, I'm schizophrenic, man. I just know this. Like, this is the greatest stuff ever." So if you're into that kind of stuff, I highly recommend listening to Coast to Coast. It's so entertaining. Um, Art Bell is really good at what he does. Again, I don't listen to it because I believe everything that they're saying. I just listen to it because I think it's entertaining. There are some good speakers he gets. Some where you're like, hey, this actually might be true, and some where you're like, this dude's totally bananas, but it's still funny to listen to. Um, but yeah, so like for me, it sounds a very long, um, yeah. What the heck do you call that? I'm totally blanking on this word right now. Digression. There you go.
Uh,
The point I'm trying to make is one of the really most common things I notice in all these callers and in Art Bell himself, a lot of them are like fallen away Catholics. Like it's anytime any one of them brings up like religion or faith, like legitimately, like I say 80% of the time they mention like, oh, I grew up Catholic or I used to be Catholic. And I'm like picking this up. I'm just like, this is nuts. Like how many of them are Catholic, or were Catholic, including Art Bell, I believe, at least I heard that correctly when he said he grew up Catholic but isn't. Or maybe he said his wife did. Um, and it kind of blows my mind because I'm like, why? Why is there such a large overlap between former Catholics or current Catholics and this conspiracy theory, paranormal stuff? Um, and I've had this conversation with a mutual friend of ours. Um, and him and I kind of both came to the conclusion that it's probably like because we believe in the invisible. So like we're already open to the idea that there's things out there we don't understand or don't know. Um, and so for those that are like more inclined for that reason, it's not as far-fetched for us to say like definitely like ghosts. We would say yeah, ghosts are real. So it's not so far-fetched to go, okay, ghosts are real, demons are real, angels are real. Okay, well, we do believe in prophecy as well, so people can do that. And you kind of like trickle down into that, and you get into things like psychic visions and um, tarot card readings or Ouija boards, and you just kind of like open up the whole can of paranormal, supernatural, conspiracy theory things. And that's my my thought on it. So the relationship between Catholicism and conspiracy theories is, in my opinion, from what I've witnessed, like strong because we are so open to the fact that there are things we just don't understand and don't know as a matter of our religion. And I'm not saying that means those things are all true and that we should believe those things exist or are true, but I just think that's why, from what I've observed at least, there's like such a high overlap in Catholics and then in Catholics who believe in these things. Like even in real life, talking to a lot of people, they always believe at least in one thing or another. I don't think I've ever met a Catholic who just dismisses all of those things out of hand and says none of that's real. Um,
yeah, and I think too, like, not to like make it this thing, but I think with like fallen away Catholics, like they're baptized, right? So there's this like an indelible mark on their soul.
yeah,
Um, so they're kind of putting this target on their back, and then they're separating themselves from Christianity. So that does kind of open things up for the demonic and whatnot. So there's probably an element of that too, of like, yeah, like here is this fallen away Catholic kind of introduced to this spiritual realm, but then denying Christianity
yeah,
does put their soul at risk in some way.
yeah.
Yeah. So do you think the moon landing is fake? Or...
Stanley Kubrick, they killed him for making Eyes Wide Shut. Look into that. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I think yeah.
I'm unconvinced of the. I think the moon landing was real.
The
Like I feel like
yeah,
some of these things,
I
like
agree.
something like that, then you can like go down the rabbit holes on YouTube and they talk about whatever the
Eh,
shadows and things like
yeah,
that.
whatever.
But I think that like something like that requires a crazy of number of people to be in on it. Like
Yeah,
everybody at NASA
everyone.
had to be in on it. Like my grandfather worked at NASA on the lunar excursion module. Like
Wow,
he had like,
flex.
yeah, I know. But like he had to be in on it. Like everybody had like there. It just a crazy number of people. And
Yeah.
then also like the Soviets had to not know about it because they totally would have
Oh yeah,
made a scene,
they
right?
would have
Like
made a
it's
scene out of
just
it. Yeah.
yeah. There's
I
like no way.
I
There's no way that
heard
that would be.
the closest thing I've heard where I'm like, maybe, maybe that's true, is the first moon landing was faked because they just had to rush it out there to say they've done it, but all the subsequent ones were real. Because people don't realize there was more than one moon landing.
Right.
Um,
But again, like
but
the
yeah, but
number
it's
of
still the
people,
same thing. Yeah, same thing. You would need to get so many people on board to agree that it was true, or keep a lot of people totally in the dark about the whole thing.
right?
Like you trick even most of the NASA employees into thinking something was happening. But no, I think the moon landing was real. I don't think there's really any benefit to lying about it. You can lie about the composition of moon rocks and moon dust. You can lie about what you may or may not have seen up there. That I'm open to. But I don't think, yeah, I don't think they didn't land on the moon. Um, I don't think there's really any like honest evidence for that other than people just say it's impossible. So I do think one good argument though that gets improved every year is why haven't we done it again? When the technology on the original landers were like less sophisticated than the technology in our phones. Like how can we not put them back on the moon? So I'd like to see, them go back to the moon.
Yeah.
That'd be cool, but
Well, I think, and we could critique this argument
yeah.
if we want to make this all about the moon landing. But like, I think the argument people say is like there's nothing up there to see,
Yeah.
which could be true. It also could be true. There's like something that they don't want us to see, right?
Yes.
Like those are both, reasonable reasons that they would say let's not go back for a little bit. And it's like if the moon rock composition is what they say it is, it makes sense. It's like an expensive task.
Yeah.
Um, and like why do it?
Yeah.
But it is cool. Like I mean, again, to focus on the moon landing, it is like it's like a unifying American experience. Like everybody that was alive at the time remembers the moon landing happening,
Yeah.
which we don't like have that version, at least not of like good things happening in America. There's bad things since the turn of the century, but um, there's not like exciting things that everyone's like unified on. And I feel like the
Yeah.
moon landing was one of those things.
Yeah.
So what do you believe, man? Any conspiracy theories that
Oh man.
that
Anyone that I
resonate with you?
believe, I,
Don't hold
I,
back. Don't hold back.
no, let them all out. Let them all out. I don't know. I think when you give me like a list of conspiracy theories, I
Yeah,
don't
we should have
know.
assembled that.
I know we should have like a symbol thing for ahead of time. We're so skilled at this. Thank you for paying us. I don't know. No, I don't know. I don't think there's anything I would say is a conspiracy theory that I believe, but I think maybe things I believe people would accuse me of being like conspiratorial about. Um, Actually, that's the incorrect use of that word. Conspiracy. A conspiracy is the people that are conspiratorial. And we're just theorizing that there's people being conspiratorial about things. I don't know. I think yeah, there's certain things where it's like green energy scams. I think that's a real thing. Or like solar and wind, a lot of it is just financial kickbacks. No one actually cares about the environment. No one's actually doing this for like because they think it's long-term beneficial, especially because we're having a lot of evidence nowadays that like it actually isn't beneficial to the environment. Just like, the heavy metal pollution, mining, and then all like the destruction. Like there's no way to recycle freaking wind turbines. They're killing critical species, stuff like that. I think that's less of a conspiracy theory nowadays. I think it started off as one where people were like, "Hey, this is a thing," and they're like, "You're just being a conspiracy theorist." I also think that word gets used all the time to not mean things to mean things that it doesn't actually mean. Um, I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. I don't know. Like JFK, the JFK one's like so interesting because there's so many possible routes to go. Um, with that one, I think obviously there's a conspiracy there. It's people coordinated to kill JFK. Yeah, the official thing is it was all, Lee Harvey Oswald. He was just acting alone, but I'm like, that's not true. I don't think that's true. Um,
Yeah, something like that. It's like, I mean, I guess I wasn't alive when JFK was president, but
yeah, I was
I
like
don't
10
think he
years old,
was
so
to the level of controversy, and there was like enough division for somebody to do something like that. But maybe, I
I
mean,
mean, if you go into the whole like, well, he was actually a communist sympathizer, and I can't remember if it was the Bay of Pigs or just the Cuban Missile Crisis had happened like earlier that year. And so there's a lot of like, oh, he just like hates America and the president, and so he's just gonna do what he thinks he should do. Like, okay, maybe sort of. Maybe sometimes the simplest answer is just the right answer. But to me, it was, I don't know. I think there's more going on there.
And somebody like even today, like somebody could hand somebody, $10,000 and say kill this person, and like
Yeah.
we could never find like that's not very traceable.
No,
Like
if it's just cash or crypto, you have no idea. You can't
yeah.
trace that. So, no, I don't know if I have any like explicit conspiracy theories off the top of my head. There's fun ones.
What about like chemtrails? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, chemtrails. I think they got proven to be real.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they like, there's been admission that they do in fact put stuff in like the contrails, but it's not they say that it's like to modify the weather. It's weather modification, which is another conspiracy theory. But again, I'm pretty sure they came out and admitted to that. Like after that really bad flooding in Texas earlier this year, there was a guy that came out and was basically like, "Yeah, my company was doing weather manipulation, like weather seeding, they call it, or something like that." Um, and it was like a whole thing. Like that's one of those conspiracy theories that like again, if you listen, also this is another reason why I love the Art Bell show. It's a phenomenal time capsule because it's like I said from the late 80s to the early 2000s. And so it's 20 years removed from the last episode I just listened to, and you hear people talking about some of these conspiracy theories. Some of them have been proven right. Some of them they're still just theories, but it's like this has been stuff that's been talked about for decades, literally decades. Um, so like chemtrails, because the chemtrails came up in one of the episodes. It's like an episode from like 2002. And all they were saying was like they're definitely putting something in there, definitely putting something in there. But at the time, there was no proof. Now we have things coming out saying like, okay, they do put stuff in there. They do try to do weather manipulation. They try to do, and you're just like, holy crap, they were right. You know what I mean? Like the people that were called crazy 20 years ago were right. And that
This
happens
this
often
Wikipedia
enough.
article says a 2016 survey of 77 atmospheric scientists concluded that 76 out of 77 of the scientists that took part in this study said that they had not encountered evidence of a large-scale atmospheric program, and the data cited as evidence could be explained through other factors. I want to talk
Mm,
to that 77 scientist
I
though.
know the one
Like,
dude that wasn't a bought and paid for
yeah,
show.
exactly.
Well, have
I
you
don't
heard of
know.
HARP?
No,
AARP. So HARP is hold on, I just looked it up. High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program Research Station. It's in Anchorage, Alaska, or is it in Fairbanks, or is it Gakona, Alaska? Um, and that's what everyone's pointing to as like a weather manipulating place. Um, so they think that there's this program in Alaska controlled by the government that manipulates the weather. Um, that's sort of that's not part of chemtrails, but it's like along the same vein as like, oh, there's this idea that the government has the ability to like affect the weather. It can like change the weather at their whim. Um,
again, citing Wikipedia, it said that
Totally
it started with
unbiased.
there was a 1996 report from the U.S. Air Force about weather modification.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they were talking about the technology existing, um, and so I think that it exists, and they like talked about it. And so the question is, did they like go through with it and
Yeah.
try to pretend they did?
Well,
Which that's
that's the thing, right? It's the same thing with like UFO programs or spy programs at Area 51. Things slowly start coming out where it's like, actually, we were working on jet propulsion, so what people were seeing was us. Oops, or you have a Bob Lazar. Have you heard of Bob Lazar?
I have not.
All right, so Bob Lazar is like a really famous, I don't know how famous you would call him, really popular UFO dude. He said he worked at Area 51 as a contractor for several years, and claimed he worked on UFO technology. What's interesting about him is he has been very consistent in his story over the years. He hasn't really been contradictory. He's been very consistent in his story, and he hasn't profited off it, but he keeps talking about it. So a lot of people are like, people say this stuff because they get book deals, they get famous, they get interviews, they make money, and they turn out to be fake. And you're just like, but they made this money, so whatever. But he doesn't make money off this. He's never really like, hasn't become wealthy off this. Um, so he comes out and he says, "Hey, this stuff works. I worked at this secret spot in Area 51. We had UFO technology. I saw it. I witnessed it. I saw the aliens. Da 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 da." Um, and obviously there's a lot of people denying things, a lot of stuff like that. Although again, interesting. he's interviewed multiple times on Art Bell show. People call in, they say, "Hey, did you know so and so?" And he's like, "Yeah, I did." And it's like, "Ah, see," and it's just like it's kind of interesting thing. But anyway, um, he's also been sort of like what's the word I'm looking for here? Delegitimized, yeah, because he got arrested for trading illegal goods, and I think he may have been running a brothel in Nevada. So there's like some other stuff we were like, yeah, this dude's just kind of crazy. He shouldn't be taken seriously. But again, it's like a matter of um, his story really hasn't changed at all over the years. He doesn't make money off it. So it's not like he's doing this just so he can keep making money. But Bob Lazar is someone to take a look into if you're interested in like potential UFO stuff with Area 51. I don't necessarily believe him full throttle. Um, I'm just like I said, I'm just interested in the two things that I mentioned. Consistent story doesn't profit off it. Um,
Right. What do you think
so
about? So, what does he say about UFOs?
I,
That's like, what's his unique take? I guess.
I don't know if he doesn't really have a unique take. That's the other thing too. He's not like a hot take kind of guy, at least from what I've heard. Again, I'm listening to interviews that are 20 years old at this point, so whatever. But it was basically like I worked on extraterrestrial technology. The US government was trying to reverse engineer UFO technology, and there's evidence that aliens have been interacting with humanity for like thousands of years, and the government covers it up. And like that's sort of like his whole thing is. That's it.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Okay.
really speculate too much else on anything else, but he's admitting extraterrestrials exist. He's admitting we've interacted with them. He's admitting we're trying to reverse engineer or we have reverse engineered their technology. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what he does. I don't know what he's up to nowadays. Uh, the last interview I listened to him, he gave the interview in like 2002. So, he's alive, I think, still. But
Yeah, we should give him a call.
honestly, he'd probably come in.
So I've heard for like UFOs, people will point. I mean, I think you've pointed in the past, maybe not definitively, but suggested. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I dropped something. Um, you've suggested, um, and like the demonic as well, right? Like
Yeah,
it's sort of a demonic presence distracting, or some type of something demonically influenced.
yeah,
Which feels again like it's a similar thing. Like our Catholic faith gives us some sort of backing to make that type of claim. But at the same time, like a lot of the UFO stuff, unless it's a part of some grander conspiracy, like why would a demon just like fly around so he gets on the news for
yeah,
like a day and then everyone forgets about it? Like, what's the
yeah,
goal?
yeah. It's a very
um,
interesting
yeah. So I don't know.
phenomenon.
What do you think about like the NFL's rigged? Like some of those
Do you just have like
newer
a
low
list? Do you have like a
stakes.
list of conspiracy theories up right now? And you're just like,
I'm
let's go
scrolling through
through them.
a
The
few
NFL
options.
rigged. I think if there's any major sports outfit that's rigged, it's the NFL, maybe the NBA. Um, I don't think they're rigged. NBA I don't really follow. I don't really care about. But the NFL, which I also kind of don't really care about, but um, I think they're rigged in the sense that they absolutely have. They'll have like a deliberate penalty, or like I think the refs are sometimes actually actively trying to change the outcome of games. I think
Yeah.
that's true because sometimes it's so blatant. They're so bad blatantly. I'm like, either they just had like a stroke or they're like really trying to change things.
Well,
And
I think what's really tough too about like being an NFL ref or like even other sports, but I think with NFL, like the stakes are just so much higher. Like especially in
yeah,
the playoffs, it's like you got one game,
it's
and
super high stress.
a
Yeah,
lot of the calls they might have changed this recently, but a lot of times it's like you can't change like a penalty call in a review or like you can't call
yeah,
a penalty after the fact. So there's like so much pressure on these like individuals to notice things exactly as they happened.
right.
Um, but I believe, some of them could be paid off. I think that could totally happen. Because like
Oh
again,
yeah,
like I'm saying about the moon landing, like with this, it's like two guys that got to be involved in paying off an NFL ref.
yeah,
Like it's the ref and it's the guy paying. Like
yeah,
so that's like totally possible. That two people could lie about it.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's a high pressure job, so
yeah. I think at the end of the day too, you're just gonna get people who are extremely stressed and they know that like millions of people are watching them, waiting for them to screw up. And you kind of get the consequences there. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they did whatever they could to get the Chiefs to the Super Bowl last year. But I don't think they script it or have the ability to script it, quote unquote, to like guarantee the Chiefs win, especially because the Eagles were so good. You just can't, you just like, oh, sorry, we got you here, Chiefs, but the Eagles are just dominating you. We can't just like throw flags every 2 seconds now and just roll back everything they do, right? Like, if there's no penalty there, there's no way to assume there's a penalty there. We're not going to call anything. So, I don't know. I don't get too worked up on that. I don't really care. I do think the NFL, I think sports in general, they're just entertainment. So I don't get invested. I don't bet. I don't gamble on them. I'm not part of the team. I don't get anything if they win. So it's like I'm just there to be entertained. You know, I'd rather it be a good, honest sport. Um, there's not enough there for me to think it's rigged, and I don't care enough to want to see if it's rigged, I guess is my response to that. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I think the entertainment thing too, like I don't know about the NFL specifically, but I'm sure like some of these sports leagues, even like the more popular ones, like they do what they can to make it
Yeah.
more entertaining. So like the Chiefs making the Super Bowl, like maybe they
Yeah.
kind of push that to happen because it's a good story. What do you think? I'm gonna go there. What do you think about like 9/11 conspiracy theories?
Uh, for reference, we're recording this on 9/11.
We are.
Um, uh, I don't know. It's kind of a side thing. The first time I visited the 9/11 memorial in New York, like one street over or like two streets over, there's just a row of people. I don't know. This was like 7 years ago, so I don't know if they're still there. They probably are. There's like a row of people, and they probably are deliberately forced to like go no further than those streets that are just lined with poster boards and placards showing every type of conspiracy theory about 9/11 there is. Which I thought was like crazy that that was tolerated, but I guess, we're America, First Amendment, whatever. Um, Nowadays you get shot for that, but back then maybe not. Uh, they, yeah, I thought that was crazy. Just seeing like all these conspiracy theorists like right outside the memorial, or probably like I said, probably as close as they could get because it's like 2 streets away, or 2 blocks away, whatever you want to call it, in New York. Um, and there's a conspiracy theories. Yeah, there's some smoke there, I think. Not necessarily. I don't know about detonation. Some people are like, oh, they were going to blow it up anyway, and the planes was. I don't know about that. But I think there are some. I think the intelligence community probably knew ahead of time something was going to happen. Um, there were some high level people, high value people that would normally be at the buildings or like own the buildings and like uncharacteristically weren't there that day, stuff like that. That I'm just like, yeah, there's some smoke here. There's a little bit of potential for a conspiracy here, but I don't think it was like I don't think because the big ones like Bush did it. I don't think Bush led an attack. I don't think Bush like planned or the intelligence community planned a terrorist attack on American soil. I think if anything, people were informed something was going to happen soon, and they didn't take it seriously enough. Or the deep state, which we know exists at this point, they kind of really showed themselves in the past 10 years. Um, they wanted it to happen for a pretext for their own thing. I actually kind of I think George Bush was like a patsy. I don't think he was aware of what was going to happen. I don't think he wanted it to happen, but I think it happens, and then he sort of got like pushed from the behind the scenes to do the Iraq and Afghanistan war. That's my theory. Well, that's my theory on the whole thing. So I think it was all legitimate. I think it was Islamic terrorists wanted to destroy Twin Towers, which they tried doing in like the early 90s. I don't think people realize that. Um, and I think what happened behind the scenes was some people were aware of it ahead of time and either deliberately didn't do anything or didn't take it seriously enough, and so that's why it happened. And I think there are people who took this as an opportunity to get us into that quagmire in Iraq and Afghanistan because they profit off it, that's how stuff goes.
Yeah. There's
Um,
there's definitely like a lot of money in war.
yeah.
Um and it seems, I mean, I was alive at the time of this, but I wasn't at the age of deciphering information. It seems like there, yeah, it seems like getting involved with the war should not have been like an automatic reaction. Like it seems like certain like things had to be lined up to get involved in the war.
Yeah.
Obviously, like a terrible tragedy, and yeah, I yeah. A few years ago,
Mhm.
yeah, a couple years ago, um, one of our mutual friends. I don't know if you know who. I'll tell you off air if you don't.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
I might be
but
able to
he,
guess by whatever you say.
yeah, he met a fire investigator that
Okay.
worked at like investigating 9/11.
Yeah.
Um, he said it was really funny. They were out to dinner talking about something completely different.
Yeah.
Um, and the lady was like, "Oh yeah, like my husband and I like work as a fire investigator." Um, and they were like, "Well, like what is like the biggest thing you've ever done?" And her response was, well, I guess it would have to be 9/11." Like she had to think about it. Like what other fire have you worked on that has been like anywhere close? But and she talked about that, and so he asked at
Yeah.
the dinner, he was like, well, I've heard that jet fuel can't melt steel beams. Like that's what everybody
Yeah. Yeah. That's
says.
the classic. Yeah.
So like what happened? Like the steel beams melted, and she said that the carpet in the building when it was lit on fire got like way hotter than jet fuel would have lit on fire, and
Huh.
that's what would have melted the steel beams. And I thought that was so interesting, the thought
Hmm.
of carpet being like a hotter fuel than jet
Yeah.
fuel. um but I don't that's not my area of expertise.
Yeah.
But for those of you out there that are like jet fuel can't melt steel beams, look into that. That's what this lady
Yeah.
said. It's the carpet.
Carpet.
But she could have been in on it. You never know.
You never know. All right, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and finish up our episode.
All right.
All right, Ben, so what are your thoughts on the chupacabra?
Um, I'm into it. It seems interesting.
Into it. Yeah, all right. Um,
um, where was this? This was in South America, or is it in? It
it's like
was
Southwest US and Mexico, I think are like the big maybe Puerto Rico too. I think I saw some stuff about Puerto Rico, but yeah, definitely like Southwest US, Mexico area.
and it was just like killing animals.
Yeah, I think killing like sheep. I think the name means like sheep killer or something like that. I can't remember. But yeah, it was like this weird creature that just like kills animals and drinks their blood. Yeah, it's called goat sucker. That's what it stands for. Because like it like sucks the blood of goats. Um, yeah, crazy, just crazy stuff. But um, yeah, I don't know how deep you go with like crypto stuff. I know you mentioned you would like to be a cryptozoologist as your profession, but I I don't know how deep you go into it or if you have any if you oh that's a good question. Do you have any favorite cryptos?
Um, I'm interested in I don't know if it's the New Jersey Devil or if it's like it's the Mothman thing. I think this was
Yeah.
also New Jersey though.
Mothman's West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
West
I was
Virginia
way
has a
off.
lot of cryptos.
Makes you
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I guess.
but it's like so interesting because it was like 1 week there were like five sightings or something, and
Yeah.
then it was like there was like no other real sighting, or maybe it was like a few months. But it was like a short period of time, and then it seemed to disappear, and that's interesting to me because that feels realistic. Like it feels like either
Mhm.
it died or it like left the area or like some entity like government entity or something came in and kidnapped it and then
Yeah.
didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Um, oh yeah, here it is. West Virginia from November 15th to December 15th.
Yeah.
Um, there were a whole bunch of sightings and then never again. Um, which is awesome. Like that, not awesome, but like it, that feels like so realistic. Feels like that's what would happen.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's like a better indication of something than a hoax. 'Cause if it's a hoax, right? Why not just keep doing it? You know, just keep doing it, keep driving interest in it. Um, there's another one in West Virginia that's a really popular Flatwoods Monster, I think it's called. And that's supposed to be, I think, believed to be at least an alien, but it's crazy if you can look up the Flatwood Monster. Let's see if I can find it.
So,
Maybe I have the name wrong. Uh, yeah, Flatwoods Monster, Braxton County Monster, Phantom of Flatwoods, West Virginia folklore, was seen in 1952. Uh, it looks like if you look it up, it looks weird. But it's believed to be, yeah, extraterrestrial in origin. Um, there's such crazy stuff in West Virginia. So you really gotta do wonder what is going on in West Virginia that this stuff just keeps happening there. Because there's also the Grafton monster, which is like a giant boulder like a thing. It's crazy. There's so much stuff in West Virginia, man. We should go to West Virginia. We
we
should do a
should.
live episode of us hunting cryptids in West Virginia. This is why you
Just looking
people
under
need to
rocks.
start supporting us financially. So Ben and I can take time off our
We
job
wait. We have so many supporters.
to
We already
go
established this.
crypto hunting. Um, and we could do other stuff on the way, like the Jersey Devil in New Jersey, you know. Bigfoot is sometimes in this area, you know. Maybe we can do, I don't know what
Bigfoot's
else.
everywhere, though.
Yeah, Bigfoot's everywhere.
What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on Bigfoot? I don't think we.
I don't know. I think his feet are normal size. I
He
don't
must
know.
have big feet.
Oh, Dover Demon. Oh, what you told me we went there. No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. No, that's the other. That's the lore of that place. Not Dover. Dover Demon in Dover, Massachusetts. I've never heard of this one before. I'm just looking up cryptids now. My thought on Bigfoot, it's possible. It's possible. Here's the thing about the US in particular. We have thousands upon thousands of caves, most of which are unexplored. It's not out of the realm of possibility that there are things that exist in these caves that we don't know about. Now, we have satellite technology. Well, here's what I'm going to say. People can argue that technologically, we're at a point in time where we should be able to find Bigfoot, but when we have lost hikers, sometimes we still don't find them. Like when we lose humans that we are like putting a ton of resources into finding that are lost in the wilderness, sometimes we don't find them. So I think it's possible we just can't we just can't find Bigfoot. Maybe there's only like five left in the entire United States. US is a very large country, and there's a lot of places for them to hide. Um, so I think stuff like that, I think it's possible. I think if you look at like biologically, they're very realistic. They would just be a form of large, like North American primates, which could be a thing. Um, I don't, I'm not a zoologist here. I don't know if that's an impossibility that there was ever large North American primates, but it could be, could have been. At least I think there could have been. Um, yeah, so I think Bigfoot has a possibility to it. It's actually funny. My brother-in-law was an anti-Bigfoot guy. It was like doesn't exist, not real. And then he listened to Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World, great podcast, highly recommend. Jimmy Akin's Mysterious World about Bigfoot, and he came out of it was like, all right, maybe there's a possibility there. Because he does a very good like level-headed approach to this kind of stuff. Like, is it actually possible? Could be, you know. Um, so he came out believing that there's a possibility now, not necessarily like a full-on believer. Because if you think about it, yeah, it's just a large North American primate that there just might not be very many of them left. And like I said, the US is a massive country with a lot of unexplored caves and other like ecological zones. And even when we lose hikers and deliberately put all of our effort and technology into it, we sometimes still don't find them. So it's not totally out of the realm of possibility in my mind that there are just like a few primates walking around America that avoid humans because they don't want to be seen. Because, whether or not they're sentient, right? To the degree that humans are, no idea. Probably not. I think that'd lead to like a lot of questions theologically. But in terms of are they putting in a lot of effort to avoid humans? Yeah, probably. You know?
Yeah, I think it. Well, I think there's kind of I have two strains of thoughts in this.
Yeah.
One, the form of Bigfoot like is something that like totally could be different things. Like if you see Bigfoot from a distance, like it could be a bear. You know,
Yeah.
like
That's
so
true.
it's like vague enough, like the physical form that makes me think like it could be different things, and they're like sightings are so like all over the place that like it
Hmm.
feels like there could be different things going on. Um, but yeah, at the same time, like yeah, there's like unexplored areas that they totally could exist,
Hmm.
and like it's believable. And the thought of like it being some form of primate, like it probably has some level of intelligence, so like it knows
Yeah.
how to hide from humans.
Right.
They probably like bury their dead, right? If it was like an evolved primate, like that's a big thing I've seen is like, well, if Bigfoot is real, why do we never find like any Bigfoot bodies? And it's like, well, I've also heard people be like, you don't find a lot of bear bodies because they like die in weird places and they decompose fast, right? But
Yeah.
like an evolved primate would maybe bury its dead, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
like I think it could be a real deal. It does seem to me like it would have been like you would have found it by now, but
Hmm.
at the same time, maybe you wouldn't have.
Yeah. Well, again, if you think about it, let's say they have extended life spans, like maybe they can live to be 70, 80 years old like humans can, and they was like a dozen of them left in the 60s, and they reproduced and had a couple offspring, and now there's like five left. Like again, the US is a massive, massive country. Um, they easily can die anywhere and have their body decomposed before anyone ever sees them and have bones wind swept away or carried off by predators, eating like or the carrion eaters, stuff like that. Also, again, if they're they might not be sophisticated enough to bury, but they might be sophisticated enough to say like, I can sense my oncoming death. I'm gonna go crawl into the back of this cave and
Right.
die there.
Yeah.
And again, like there are so many caves in America we have not explored. It's a like actual thing. You can look it up. I think missing 411. Let me look that up again. Is it like did a whole thing on this where it's basically like there's so many missing people in North America and a lot of them are concentrated in areas with unexplored cavern systems. Um, I think that's the thing I'm thinking of. Maybe it's maybe missing 411's about UFOs. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it's a collection of different things. But basically, like, you can look up a map of like unsolved missing people's case. It overlaps really well with unexplored cave systems in the US. And it's not necessarily that like everyone that goes missing just walks in the caves, but it's a little bit of that and a little bit of maybe there's something out there and they live in these caves and they like kidnap people, right? And that's where they bring them. So
Yeah.
it's another interesting thing to kind of go down.
Well, something that I learned at the
Yeah.
International Cryptozoology Museum is that the giant panda wasn't discovered until like the late 1800s.
Wow.
Like they didn't like verify it totally until like the turn of the century, um, which is crazy to me,
Yeah, that's
because it's
interesting.
like it's so in like associated with China. Like the Chinese are very proud of the giant panda. Like they always like the Chinese government has like gifted pandas to the US. Like that's like a thing they do. So like it's it's like a cool
Yeah.
thing and they're like proud of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like everybody knows about pandas, but the giant like it wasn't really nobody knew it existed until the late 1800s. So like in that field, I mean, it's been 100 years or so since then, but
Yeah.
that feels so recent to me. And it feels like and like the big thing about pandas is they're like really dumb and they're really clumsy, and so like think about like if a panda was intelligent and wanted to hide from humans,
Yeah.
like maybe it would last another 200 years before it was discovered. Um, so yeah, like that's believable um, in that sense.
Yeah. I think Bigfoot's one of those fun ones where you can think, yeah, it 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 could very well be real. Um, and I'm not totally opposed to the idea that it's real. I'm not really opposed to any idea that cryptids are real. It doesn't va invalidate our faith, which I think is like a really important thing. I think that's like a big thing too, that kind of go full circle here and combine Catholicism and conspiracy theories, not just be talking about conspiracy theories. I I don't think cryptids invalidate the faith at all. We don't really talk about it. There's really no need to talk about it. In the sense that there's no need to doctrinally define anything or dogmatically define anything. We see references to unicorns and dragons in the Bible. We see references, in a lot of pagan mythology to fantastical creatures. And you can just say it's just imagination. All right. Like, yeah, you could just say that. But there could be some reality to it, like you're saying with the panda, like we do discover crazy things later on, like much later than we should have discovered them. Um, yeah, imagine like the Komodo dragon. Like look at that thing and then think like maybe that's just the smaller version of like something that was much larger a couple thousand years ago, And what would that have looked like a couple thousand years ago? It would look like a dragon. Literally would look like a dragon, even without wings. Um, yeah, there's like a lot of stuff like that, but I don't see an invalidation of the faith if you believe these things. Um, Specifically like cryptid stuff. Um, obviously there's no invalidation of faith if you believe in a conspiracy theory, but I think there's a lot of prudential judgment that needs to be made when you deal with these things. You can't just bite everything and say this is good or this is true. You can't just go forth with that assumption. You can't view everything as if it's this conspiratorial mess. I'm not saying that there aren't things like that that exist, but even just from like a mental health standpoint, imagine if every time something happened, you just went down a rabbit hole trying to figure out all these million connections and like who's really behind this or that incident. And you're just never really going to accomplish much, and you're not going to be satisfied, and you're probably just going to be full of like anger. Um, so I think when it comes to like conspiracy theories, it's like, why are you into the conspiracy theory? What can you do about it? Um,
Yeah, I think
yeah, I think
that
that's my
leads me
yeah,
to back when we used to live in the same town.
yeah,
Um, like, and we would hang out with people. One of the like joke questions we had was like, what would you do if you found out tomorrow that the moon didn't exist?
right,
Like that it was a projection or like something like that. Like, how would it affect your life? Um, and it's like the thought that what you would discover is that okay, like the government lied to you, right? Like we were talking about, like so many people on NASA lied about it, but like the government lies to you, like
yeah,
it's just like it's a larger scale than you think it is. Um, but like your experience of life, especially as like a Catholic, um, like your priorities, they don't change,
yeah,
like it's like, yeah, okay, the moon's made of cheese or something, like we were lied about that, but like
yeah,
still like the essential truths of our lives that we kind of base the way we live upon are still the same. And I think that's a big thing with these things is like, I think if you're looking at them as like, this is kind of fun and interesting and recognizing that like the stakes are not that high, I think it's super healthy. And like you mentioned, Jimmy Akin, like I think he has a really, he's a very intelligent man and he has good perspective on these things.
yeah,
And his podcast is very interesting.
mm,
And so I definitely would recommend that to our listeners. Um, but yeah, like I think that's like a healthy view on it is kind of recognizing what
yeah,
the stakes actually are for this kind of thing.
yeah. No, I think so too. I think it really just goes down to like as with all things, what's your internal motivation behind why you care about this and why you're pursuing it, and what can you realistically affect in your knowledge of knowing these things? And yeah, how does it affect your behavior? Like if you just become insane from this and you start neglecting your other duties, like I don't, you're not helping yourself at all. Um, but I don't think if someone came up to me and was like, yeah, I question the moon landing or I question JFK's assassination, I would be like, all right, we can talk about it. I don't think that invalidates your faith. I don't think it's the trouble that you're running into in that. But if you come out and you say like, advocating for violence against certain people because you have a belief that they're conspiratorial, then I think yeah, I'm running into some issues there. Um, but no, yeah, conspiracy theories are like one thing, I like kind of enjoy reading about them. Sometimes just like I don't really care. Really, for me, it's like the cryptid stuff, paranormal stuff, supernatural stuff. I love that stuff. I love listening to it, checking it out. So yeah, I think those are my thoughts.
Yeah, sweet. I think that's where we land. I don't think I have
Anything
anything to
else?
add on the Catholic perspective.
Nice. Yeah. If Jimmy Akin didn't already take it, I would love to do his podcast. I think I'd have a lot of fun with that. I also would just love to just like do a Catholic Art Bell podcast. Not even a podcast, like a radio show. You know what I mean? People call in, we just shoot the breeze on this
It's
stuff.
the best.
I would have so much fun. Maybe
The
we should do
best
that.
the best moments of my life were when I was on the radio.
I lived vicariously through Ben when he did radio when he was in college because I
You
didn't.
were a guest on one.
I was a guest. I was a guest, which I was so excited. I loved it. I loved every second of it.
I
I regret not doing it when I was in college and doing my school radio, especially because I knew someone who worked there and when they told me, "Hey, you should come do a show," and I just never followed through. Because now I think about it, I'm like, I absolutely, if I was back in college, I would 100% say, "Hey, can I get like the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. slot, and can I just basically be the Catholic Art Bell?" And just let them and just see what they say. And just be like, sure. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? Who listens? Who's listening to college radio at 10 p.m. at night? Um, maybe that's what we do. Maybe instead of doing like a before we take our supporters funds and go to West Virginia for cryptid hunting, we can do like a late night call-in show, and we could just have tons of fun with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we should admit at this point in time we have zero paid subscribers. Uh,
Yeah, we
but
actually do
but
need paid subscribers.
but I will say that I have a recording of you and I's radio episode together. I don't it's somewhere, but I
You have a
recorded it.
recording of that?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
dude,
recorded all the episodes. So if we get a
dude.
paid subscriber, the first benefit for a new paid subscriber
Is they get that
will
episode.
be the episode of us on the radio.
There's some good banter in there.
There
We
is
had we
some
had
good
some
stuff,
good zingers,
some
yeah.
good content.
You
So
gotta if you find that, you gotta send that to
incentive.
me because
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
listen to that.
I'll look into it. I
Yeah,
definitely
that's
have.
good stuff. That's good stuff. Um, all right, sick. Well, uh, give us a follow on social media, which we barely use, or on our Substack, and then yeah, you can. Right now, I don't think we actually have money stuff set up, but you can pledge so
Yeah,
that
you
when we
can
set it up,
pledge
it'll
it,
come through.
or you
So
can
if
buy
you're
some merch.
Yeah,
Buy
if you're
some merch.
interested, yeah, buying merch is the best way to support us right now.
Yeah,
Um, but if you want to pledge a monthly support, we will happily take it. And once we start getting some stuff coming in, we'll have the opportunity to do more content for you guys as well. But anyway, thanks for listening. I'm Rob,
and I'm Ben,
and this has been
Analog Catholic.